Welcome back to my weekly coaching call on PMI ACP certification sample examination questions. So today we are going to go through a set of 8 questions that will help you for your preparation. And let's start off with the questions. Okay, before starting off with the questions, I would request you to go through these points, which are like the tips or techniques that will help you solve the questions easily in the examination. Okay, so I'd request you to pause here and go through these questions. And if you need any explanation to these questions, I have explained in my previous coaching calls, so you can refer to those as well. Okay, and starting off with the first question for today. Okay, reading the last line of the question first. What should the project manager do? That is the question to the project manager. And the situation is a stakeholder wants to know the total estimated cost of an agile project upfront. Okay, so we have to understand what an agile project is first, how agile works first. Whenever there is a basic requirement that is coming from customer, basic requirement that is clear from the customer, then we start off with it and we start developing the product based on that initial requirement. Okay, so which means whatever requirements are coming in the future are not very much clear, and they are prone to they're subject to changes, a lot of changes that can come into a picture. Okay, so now let's see how should the project manager respond here to provide the project costs upfront. The options are: provide a fixed estimate based on initial requirements. Okay, so what is the what is the stakeholder requesting for is the total estimated cost. Okay, and this point is talking about based on initial requirements. So which means the requirements could be changing at a later stage, like I mentioned, and the cost could be varying as well. So providing estimate based on the initial requirements is not going to be accurate enough for the estimation or for the visibility of the stakeholder. So which means this option is incorrect, and this estimate based on initial requirements is not reliable enough for the stakeholder. Okay, so option A is ruled out, and option B, use progressive elaboration to estimate costs iteratively. Yes, this could be a possible option because, like I mentioned, as and how we are progressing in the projects, in the development of the product, we would get to know more and more requirements and more changes that are coming from the customer, and we'll be in a better situation to provide the estimates to the customer. So which means the progressive elaboration can be used to provide the cost estimation costs iteratively. Okay, that is more important. And before finalizing this, we'll see what the rest of the options are. Option C, refuse to provide any estimate as Agile does not predict costs. This is incorrect option because we will have to provide the project costs to the stakeholder so that they'll have certain visibility of how the costs are going on. So option C is incorrect. Option D, assign a fixed budget and adjust work to fit within it. Okay, so again, fixing the budget in Agile would might result in compromising the product quality. Okay, so that is going to compromise the product quality, and which is not what Agile wants, Agile ways of working wants, and which is not what any team wants to deliver to the stakeholder. So which means option D is incorrect. So of all the options, the best suitable answer and the right option is option B, use progressive elaboration to estimate costs iteratively. Okay, moving forward to the next question. Okay, what Agile practice helps ensure that features align with business goals? Okay, let's see what the options are. Estimating user stories based on technical complexity. Okay, so the question here is ensure that features align with business goals. Okay, when we look at the question and this option A, we are only looking at estimating user stories, which means that user story complexity or user story size that we are estimating here, but we are not ensuring that the features are aligning with the business goals. It's not actually matching here. So which means it's only talking about the effort, but it is not talking about the business value. Okay, so which means option A is incorrect. Option B, completing as many features as possible per sprint, which is again like if we are rushing towards finishing as many user stories as possible in a particular sprint, that means we are rushing towards completion but not focusing on quality. That means we are looking at quantity but not quality and compromising on the quality. So which means option B is also not the right approach. Option C, prioritizing features based on team preference. Yes, that's a prioritization technique. However, uh, there are different prioritization techniques that come into picture. However, this is not just talking about uh, the business needs, and it's not talking about only what is required for the business as per goals. So which means option C is also incorrect, not appropriate as well. Option D, value driven prioritization. Absolutely, this is what the prioritization technique that is used. So what is that feature that can deliver value to the customer at the earlier stage itself? Okay, so that's how the backlog is prioritized, and that is what is going to help achieve the business goals and be aligned with the business goals, in fact. Okay, right. So of all the options here, option D is the right answer, value driven prioritization. Moving on to the next question. What is the primary goal of backlog refinement? Okay, let's see what the options are. To add as many new backlog items as possible? Not really. So it's not just about adding, but we should be looking at what are required, what is necessary. It's not just adding. Backlog refinement does not talk about only adding, but it also talks about the activity is also about removing certain activities which are not required, which is removing certain user stories that are not required, that can be also done. Okay, which means option A is incorrect. B, to finalize sprint commitments before planning. That's actually, it is talking about the sprint planning, in fact, option B. It's not the backlog refinement. Okay, so which means B is also incorrect. C, to improve clarity and readiness of backlog items. Yes, this is what is the primary goal of backlog refinement. So as and how we are going through the retrospective, and also prior to the retrospective, we are getting the feedback from the customer. So we look at how our how can we further break down the features or user stories that we have received from the customer, and how can we prioritize them, and how can we deliver best to the client is what we look at. And that's how all these factors will go into the backlog, and then that's how it is backlog will be refined. Okay, which in turn provides us more clarity and readiness of the backlog items. Okay, so that means C is the right option. That is the primary goal. Okay, before finalizing that, let's see what option D has got in it. To estimate all backlog items at once, which is absolutely incorrect. Agile estimates iteratively. It does not estimate all backlog items at once. Okay, so which means of all the options here, option C is the right answer to improve clarity and readiness of backlog items. So moving forward to the fourth question. What is the benefit of swarming in agile teams? Okay, let's see what it means. What are the options here? Allows developers to work independently on tasks. Okay, it's in Agile, it is expected that everyone works collaboratively, not independently in silos. Okay, Agile does not encourage that at all. Collaboration is more important among the team members and also with the customer, but not working independently or in silos. Okay, which means option A is incorrect. Okay, option B, helps complete work faster by focusing on one task. This is what exactly the meaning of swarming means. Okay, swarming actually happens or actually means that when multiple team members work together to complete a single task quickly and efficiently instead of working separately on multiple items. So when there is a priority item that is coming to picture, or someone is lagging behind in developing a certain feature, one of the team members, then there could be a requirement, a situation wherein the rest of the team members come together and work on that and crack it and then move forward instead of letting only one person work on it. So which helps the team to work faster and develop that feature accurately and delivering that to the client within the stipulated timelines. Okay, so B is the appropriate option here. However, before finalizing that, let's see what the other options are. Option C ensures only high priority tasks are worked on. Not necessarily. Like I mentioned, there could be anything that one of the team members would require, or there could be situations as such wherein the entire team should come together and work on that particular feature. So it is not just high priority tasks. So C is incorrect. B reduces team discussions to improve efficiency. So team discussions are necessary in Agile. Team is supposed to communicate with each other in Agile. So when that is what is helping in Agile to properly deliver what everyone what the customer needs and what everyone has assumed in the during the sprint planning that they would deliver during that particular sprint. Okay, so team discussions are necessary, and without this communication, it is not going to be agile ways of working. That's not going to help the team. So which means option D is incorrect. Okay, so of all the options, the right option and the right answer is B, helps complete work faster by focusing on one task. That's the right meaning of swarming. Okay, moving on to the next question. In Agile, what is a spike? Okay, so now we have to understand the difference between what swarming was. Swarming was like everyone comes together focusing on one activity and finishing that instead of leaving it to one individual. Okay, and now here we are talking about the spike. So let's see what the options are here and understand what the meaning of spike is. Okay, option A, a high priority task that needs immediate completion. Again, spike is also not for high priority or urgent tasks. It's all about exploration of what activities are required. Okay, it's for exploration, not high priority tasks. So which means option A is incorrect. Option B, a method for assigning user story points. So definitely not. User story points are assigned through estimation techniques within the sprint planning, but not in spike. So this is not the right answer. Option B is incorrect. Let's see option C, a backlog item representing a defect. Defects are different from backlog items. So, and they are not spikes as well. Okay. So which means option C is also incorrect. Option D, a time-boxed research task. Absolutely. So a spike is nothing but a time-boxed activity used to research an unknown aspect of a backlog item. So the team spends time on understanding this activity as exploring technical feasibility before implementation. Okay, that is what the team does, and this particular activity is called spike. Okay, so of all the options we have seen, option D is the right one, and that is what the meaning of spike is. Hope you understood the difference between what swarming is and what a spike is. Okay, these are two different things. Right, moving on to the next question. What does definition of ready ensure? Okay, interesting question. Options are a user story is well defined before sprint planning. This could be the right answer because a definition of ready ensures that everything that as user story is meets to start off for implementation, that should be ready before starting off. So which means that definition of ready ensures that this particular user story is ready, right? So which is like, otherwise we can call it as it is very clear in terms of its definition. It is very clear in terms of estimation and meets what the criteria is from the customer before being added to a particular sprint. Okay, so that is the definition of ready, which is suitable, which is the right answer. However, let's see what the other options are. Um, Option B, a user story meets the acceptance criteria before deployment. Okay, this is talking about the definition of done, not the definition of ready. Okay. Option C, a feature is fully tested before release. Okay. Before release, it's it's the testing that is being done. It's not the definition of ready. So which means definition of ready, what we spoke about is even before starting off, even before taking that particular user story into that sprint, whatever is supposed to be done, that should be clearly defined and estimated. So that is the definition of ready. However, this is talking about after completion of the development. Um, we're talking about the testing here, right? Which is not right. Option C is incorrect. D, a sprint backlog item is completed, which is totally irrelevant. Okay. Definition of ready is where is at the beginning of the work, not at the end of the work. All right. So, which means of all the options, the right and the correct option here is option A. A user story is well defined before sprint planning. Okay. Moving on to the next question. How does Agile reduce risk? Very basic question, okay, that every one of us have to understand. Options given are option A, by ensuring that all requirements are defined upfront, which is absolutely different to what Agile is. Okay, so we adapt to Agile ways of working only when the requirements are not clearly defined upfront. Okay, as in how we are working on the requirements that are initially defined, we get to unveil or we get to know the more and more requirements, or get to know the clarity of requirements from the customer as we proceed forward, but not right up front. Okay, so which means option A is incorrect. Option B, by allowing only senior developers to make decisions, which is again against the uh, Agile principles. The entire team is expected to be self-organizing and not hierarchical or hierarchical. Okay, which means it's not only senior developers, that everyone will contribute to making any decisions within the team. Okay, and by delivering small increments frequently, yes, this is what we are talking about. I have mentioned this initially, that Agile is all about delivering frequent small increments, so that we get to understand what the customer is actually looking for. Okay, and take the feedback from the customer, and then go back and refine our product backlog and proceed further. Okay, so that is what is the crux of Agile ways of working. Okay. So before finalizing that, we'll see what option D has. By following a strict project management plan. In Agile, there is no rigid plan at all in the first place. Okay. So there is no project management plan as such. So it is only the product backlog that will be there, and it is not rigid. It is flexible as per the requirements that are shared by the customer, as in how we proceed in the project. Okay, so which means of all the options, the right option is option C, by delivering small increments frequently. Right? Okay, moving forward to the last question of this call today. What does a cumulative flow diagram show? Okay, cumulative flow diagram is otherwise also called as CFD in short. That's the acronym used. Okay, let's see what the options are. Option A, completed features across the sprints. Okay, that is shown in velocity chart, not a CFD. Customer satisfaction trends. This is again the trends are basically customer satisfaction trends are basically taken based on the surveys by tools like surveys or NPS and not CFDs, not cumulative flow diagram. Okay. Um, Option C, cycle time for individual tasks. Again, for cycle time, it's the control charts are better suitable for showing the task level cycle time, not the cumulative flow diagram. Okay. Option D, work distribution across different stages. Yes, absolutely. This is what the cumulative flow diagram shows. How much, at different stages, how the work is moving through different stages to do, how much is left to do, how much is in progress, and what is done over time. So this is what the cumulative flow diagram helps. In addition to that, also it helps to understand where the bottlenecks are. Okay, so that the agile leader or the team can take action and remove those bottlenecks. Okay, of all the options here, which means here the option D is the right answer, work distribution across different stages. Okay, well, that brings us to the end of this coaching call. And before you go, I'd like to announce my upcoming batch program, which is starting May 23rd, Friday. And as I mentioned in every call, this is going to be a very helpful batch program for every one of you to crack your PMI ACP certification examination and be a certified practitioner of Agile. In my batch program, I usually offer a weekly coaching call in addition to what I'm doing right now, and I'll have a customized roadmap prepared for every one of you individually according to your individual routine, and that suits your preparation timelines. Okay, and along with that, I'll have 1600 plus questions available on a best PMI simulator available for you, each and every one of you, for your preparation. That helps that will help your time management during the examination. And along with that, I also guarantee the application approval for your certification exam. And along with that, you'll get the 28 PDUs that are required for the PMI ACP certification examination. And also, based on the customized roadmap that I prepare for every one of you, I'll have a daily follow-up done with each and every one of you to ensure that you're adhering to the customized roadmap for the preparation. And that's what I do for every one of you in my batch program. Okay. Usually, this batch program I offer at a $699 cost. However, for this batch, exclusively for this batch, I'm offering at $499. And if you're interested, and if you're interested to join my batch program, and if you're ambitious to crack PMI ACP certification examination at the earliest possible, then you can join my batch program, and you can contact for more details my mentor, my coach, Mr. Amer Ali, and he'll be letting you more details about the batch program as well. Okay, so thank you so much for your time, and I would be very excited to see you in my batch program. And that's all for now. Thank you so much for joining the call today.